500.
Hello and welcome to a short special podcast from chroniclechamber.com. You know how to find us, you know where we are. We won't go into all of that today. This is a very special 15-minute chat with Matt, which was originally from our last episode, 247, which was Matt and Shane playing in a sandbox. Matt got very excited talking about the video game that he is in the middle of creating and writing. We thought it would be best if it was put in its own special little A podcast. So here you go. You got 15 minutes of Matt telling you some awesome news, information, and hopefully you enjoy it. Take it away, Matt.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, Matt, you've made mention of your upcoming story. Have you got anything else in the works or just this one for now?
Well, I've got the game, the video game.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm absolutely burning to ask you about this.
Sure. Yeah. So
We all are.
I'm in a pretty amazing situation at the moment. I'm writing what I think is my best story, which I'm most proud of, and I'm looking forward to that coming out. And I'm also working on something which I never in my wildest dreams, and mind you, I never thought I'd be writing Phantom comics. So let alone participating in the creation of a Phantom video game. So while I've been answering the questions about the comic, the same could be said about the video game. We're trying to create a video game which is faithful to Phantom lore. There's some restrictions in there, essentially it's a beat 'em up. So it's the Phantom, scrolling along. He's
Got to be violent.
It's going to be violent. He is fighting foes. He's dodging threats. He's picking up items and collecting them. But there's these rules. The Phantom won't kill in the game. But there are situations where the Phantom, would he allow someone to die? It's sort of like, he hasn't killed them directly, but they're dying as a consequence of their own action. Would the Phantom allow that to happen? What's the ethics of the Phantom? And I know from the podcast you did with Ash, he talked about that there's these decisions that you make and that'll impact the gameplay. And, you might be rewarded for a certain decision you've made in game, or you might be penalized in a game. I think he might have, it was talking about, kicking people in the head. That wasn't actually part of the game. I think he might have got a bit excited when you talked about that, because I saw there was a bit of a thread about that. Some people were a bit shocked at that. That's not the Phantom that we're presenting. We're presenting the Phantom and Diana as close as I think we can possibly get them to what those characters are. And I'll ask you to, and everyone's listening, to have some faith in us. We're not creating a new Phantom that's going to be shooting people and kicking them in the head. It's not a Punisher game. It is the Phantom. You'll see the Phantom, and you'll act as the Phantom. You'll take him places, but being that it's a beat 'em up, yes, he will be punching people up. So there is violence in it, but you'll see when you play it. There's a reason for it. He has a mission he has to accomplish.
At what point, are you still writing? Because I have no idea what the progress of a Phantom of a computer game and where the writing stops and the digital stuff takes over. So you're obviously still involved in that process.
Yeah. It's sort of an ongoing process. It's constant refinements. So the parameters I was given, basically, Ash asked me, we need a reason for the Phantom to be walking along with Diana and fighting foes in multiple different locations. Can you come up with a story? Why would the Phantom be doing that? I said, that's a piece of cake, and I went away and I had to think about it, and I wrote down a whole bunch of key ingredients or tropes to a Phantom story. Things that the Phantom regularly does, old jungle sayings, recurring characters or one-off characters who have made an impact. And I came back to Ash and said, all right, here's a whole bunch of story elements, and just poured this great big pile of ideas onto him. And he said, oh, it's just a it's just a beat 'em up. All right. Because I said to him, oh, like there's the cowboy Phantom, and the second Phantom was a knight, and we can have, the Phantom fighting pirates, and there's all these different historical times, and we'd had the 17th Phantom, there's Julie. And there's all these characters who are fan favorites. And he said, look, we just don't have the scope to include all that kind of stuff, hopefully in the future, maybe. But we just want to stick to the current Phantom and Diana. But we want them to go to these certain locations. Can you come up with a reason why he'd go there and do that? And so, we talked about what crucial places the Phantom should go to, which iconic parts of the deep woods he should go to, what monuments he should walk past, what sort of Easter eggs there are. When he's in New York, who might we see in the background? What would the streets be? What sort of, it's trying to appeal to Phantom loyals, trying to appeal to kids who've never heard of the Phantom before, trying to appeal to people who've enjoyed the movie but haven't necessarily read the comics. Right. We're treating it like it's, for a lot of people, it'll be their first exposure to the Phantom. So he has to be cool. He has to be exciting. It can't be, it can't be boring. It can't be too preachy. It can't be him on Eden playing with, the twins as babies. It has to be, something that's going to grab you. Yeah. So to answer your question, which I haven't done yet, we've written the story. We're very happy with the story. King Features are happy with the story as well. We're just now constantly tweaking and refining, and I'm excited because I get to see the progress made. I get to see, little walkthrough animations and the beautiful artwork which is being created by the team. There's a real buzz. There's a real energy. The people involved are working around the clock to create this thing, and I'm checking my notifications each day to see, what the background of this scene's going to look like, and what the plane's going to look like, and the way Devil walks, and the way Hero walks, and the way Diana fights, all this kind of stuff. It's a dream come true.
I really love it when people are talking about the video game. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you should see it, Steve. It looks sick. Like I wish I could share more, but you'll see. Like, I'm sure Ash will start putting more images up, and I think you'll be talking to him pretty regularly over the next year or two. But yeah, like, you just got to trust us. Like we are, like Ash as well. We are Phantom fans. I'm still pinching myself, and I'll tell you, this is a little story. I received an email from him while I was at work one day. It just popped into my Gmail. He introduced himself. He said what his goal was, that he was working with King Features and creating a Phantom game, and was wondering if I would like to be involved in some capacity. And I thought, who's this? What's this about? Where's the scam? Like, this is. I thought I was being catfished, and I read it out to my workmates and say, hey, check this out. Look at this crazy email I got from some lunatic, and read it out. And we looked him up on LinkedIn, and we looked at the website for Art of Play, and we thought, oh my God, this could be true. This guy's worked on Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man, SpongeBob, all these fantastic Nickelodeon video games. I thought this is looking more and more like it might be reality. And then, like, this wave of uncertainty and like imposter syndrome came out. I thought, I don't know anything about it. I can't. I'm not a gamer personally. I don't know much about that world. And there's so many like professional Phantom riders. You know, why haven't they gone to Tony DePaul? Why little old me? But I think like Ash reached out to me because he'd read my work, and you know he approached me, and we chatted on Zoom, and man, we just chatted all night. Like we talked for hours just about the Phantom and a whole range of topics and what he was wanting to achieve. And I was just so pleased that he was a Phantom fan and that we could talk about the Phantom and we each understood each other. And you know, I wasn't dealing with someone that really had no idea what the character was and just saw that there was a gap in the market for the Phantom. Like he'd seen how successful the NECA toys had been, and he approached King Features and said, you know, are you interested in doing a game? And I, you know, one thought that I had was I just couldn't imagine King Features saying yes. You know, I mean, no disrespect to anyone, but I just thought this doesn't sound like something that King Features is going to approve. I hope for this guy's sake that he's not going to pour all this time and energy and money into this thing and they're just going to turn around and say no. But at that stage, he'd already been in contact with him. He'd had some approval. And, you know, at the time he contacted me, he was in California, and he was just about to go to New York to meet the bigwigs. And I thought, oh my God, this is actually happening. And it was a successful meeting. The story, every step along the way, I've expected it all to fall down. You know, he asked me to come up with an idea for a story. I wrote this story. I thought, oh, there's no way King Features are going to approve this. And it went off, and the feedback was good. There was a few minor little tweaks, which didn't affect things really, just minor little notes. I was overjoyed. So, yeah, it's... I'm just glad now I'm finally able to talk to it, because I've been sitting on this. You know, I've signed a non-disclosure, but you know, I listened very keenly to what Ash said to you guys in the last podcast, because you know I know I've signed it and he's signed it, and he seemed happy to talk about these things, and he's released some images. The only images I've released are ones which have already been released by him. You know, I'm still. You know, I won't go into any specifics about the story, but you know, you can use your imagination. It's the Phantom walking around punching people.
Oh, look, Matt, in the context of this podcast, which has been about playing in Leafhawk Sandbox, and everything you've brought to this conversation, everything you've brought to this this concept over the last X amount of years that you've been writing stories, I don't think that anyone could choose a better person to help out with the game, and your gaming experience notwithstanding, it sounds about the same as mine, which is having anything since Pong. Look, I'm stoked that you're part of it, and everything you've said tonight about how you approach Phantom writing and understanding the tropes, the rules, the universe that Lee Falk set out for us. For you to be bringing that into the 21st and a half century with a Phantom game, I'm super excited. So yeah, good on you, and I can't wait to see more.
Oh, thanks, Dan. I must say that when I watched the podcast you did with Ash, I was getting a lot of joy from seeing Steve's reactions to a lot of things that were being said, because I see he's a big gamer, and just like the joy that he was emitting. And particularly when Ash dropped in that there's a boxing scene. Now you'll appreciate there's, you know, obviously the Masked Marvel. There's a lot of boxing comics, and obviously the recent one that Paul's done. But yeah, there's going to be like a little Easter egg overload in that section.
Oh. I'm just thinking, is it more like a Street Fighter or Fist of Fury, or is the boxing section more like Punch Out on Nintendo when you're like little Mac and you're trying to? Oh,
I don't know.
Well, we'll wait until we do another podcast with Ash before we talk too much more about it.
Yeah, that's a question you have to ask him. All I can tell you is I understand it's a mini game within the game, and it's a boss level, but the format changes in most of the game. It's just a pretty straightforward. You're going through a procession of baddies until you get to the boss. You defeat the boss. In this case, it actually takes you into a new section. It's a boxing ring. There's a lot of posters around, and it's a different type of gameplay. What you were talking about, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know those games.
That's all right.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt, for that. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you understood why we put that as its own special little podcast. We think it deserved one, and I'm sure you would agree with us. Thank you for listening to us. Again, you know where to find us. We're at chroniclechamber.com. We are all over social media. Subscribe to us. Follow us on social medias. Support us at Patreon. And until next time, happy Phantom.